Rule 1 of 12. Here is Rule 1 of 12. Over 50% of major international airports will shift to biometric first processing by 2026. Your physical passport is slowly becoming a backup to the digital shadow you cast online. Alexander, a 41-year-old software developer, saw this firsthand at Rome Leonardo da Vinci Airport, known as FCO. He stood at the gate for flight AZ-608, fumbling with his paper documents while everyone else seemed to glide through the gates. The agent didn't even ask for his passport. Instead, Alexander was met with a glowing green lens that scanned his features in milliseconds. He felt a surge of confusion. Was his identity already in the machine? Yes. Most travelers don't realize their digital footprint, from visa applications to airline profiles, precedes them at every checkpoint. Lean into the technology. Before you head to the terminal, ensure your airline app has your latest digital travel credential uploaded and verified. While a physical passport is still a legal requirement for now, the digital version clears the path for a frictionless experience. Alexander eventually realized his face was his boarding pass, and the agents preferred it because it cuts processing time by nearly 40%. Just remember, technology can glitch at the worst possible moment. Always keep your physical ID in an easily accessible pocket, not buried at the bottom of a 50-pound suitcase. Your digital shadow is fast, but paper is your ultimate safety net. Now, what if the airline decides you aren't getting on the plane at all? That is where your real power begins. Rule 2 of 12. Moving to Rule 2 of 12, the secret to speed is keeping your answers short and your mouth shut at the security desk. Sophia, a 28-year-old photographer, arrived at Frankfurt Airport, or FRA, for a major gallery project. She was exhausted, and her anxiety began to spike as she reached the front of the line. Instead of simply saying she was there for business, Sophia started rambling about her client's office, the specific lens filters she was carrying, and her heavy tripods. She even tried to pull up a digital portfolio on her tablet to prove her story. Stop right there. This is a massive behavioral red flag for customs and security officers. To a trained professional, over-explaining your itinerary or displaying high-strung nervous energy looks exactly like a rehearsed cover story for something illegal. Answer only what is asked and nothing more. If they ask the purpose of your trip, say business or vacation. Don't volunteer your life story or your grandmother's maiden name. Keep your hands visible and your posture relaxed. Officers aren't looking for new friends. They are looking for inconsistencies. Being overly chatty often leads directly to a secondary inspection room. Sophia eventually made her meeting, but only after a stressful 3-hour delay in a windowless room. Now you know how to handle the officers. But what if the airline itself is the problem? The next secret turns a canceled flight into a major payday. Rule 3 of 12. Here is Rule 3 of 12. Lucas, a 32-year-old chef from Chicago, stood in the security line at Athens International Airport, also known as ATH. He had read the headlines about new CT scanners that were supposed to end the era of tiny 3.4-ounce bottles. Feeling confident, he packed a full-sized bottle of specialty Greek olive oil and his favorite shampoo. But as he approached the bin, the security agent stopped him cold. The scanner in this specific lane was an older model. Lucas watched, frustrated, as his expensive souvenirs were tossed into a gray trash bin. Stop. The liquids rule is not dead yet. While some high-tech airports have CT scanners that allow you to keep liquids and laptops inside your bag, the global rollout is incredibly slow and inconsistent. Most of the world still strictly follows the 3.4-ounce limit and the quart-sized clear bag requirement. Even at large hubs like ATH, technology varies from one terminal to another. Always check the specific airport website before you fly, but for now, stick to the smaller containers to avoid losing your items. Lucas learned the hard way that being an early adopter of travel trends can be expensive. Ready for more? The next shift in travel power might save your wallet from a major airline blunder. Rule 4 of 12. Rule 4 of 12 asks a simple question. Have you ever glanced at your boarding pass and noticed 4 mysterious letters that weren't there before? Evelyn, a 26-year-old real estate agent, was heading home from Portland, known as PDX, on 11/14/2024. She scanned her ticket at the checkpoint, but the machine let out a loud, high-pitched beep. The agent's face turned serious immediately. Evelyn felt a cold chill. "Ma'am, we need you to step aside for a secondary search." In the corner of her ticket, those 4 letters glared back in bold. SSSS. It stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection. This means a 100% chance of a full-body pat-down, an electronics wipe-down for explosives, and a deep dive into every corner of your 22-inch carry-on bag. Stop. The worst thing you can do is get angry or defensive. This protocol can add 30 to 45 minutes to your wait time, but being polite is the only way to speed up the process. Evelyn stayed quiet, cooperated with the search of her 50-pound suitcase, and eventually made her flight. It is a stressful hurdle, but it's just a routine check in most cases. Think that was bad? Wait until you see how airlines handle overbooked flights when you have the law on your side. Rule 5 of 12. Rule 5 of 12 reveals a massive financial secret. Airlines pay out millions of dollars every year to passengers they bump. Yet most travelers settle for a useless travel voucher. Benjamin, a 45-year-old accountant, stood at his gate at Nashville Airport, BNA, feeling his blood boil. His flight was overbooked, and the agent was desperately asking for volunteers. When nobody stepped up, they called Benjamin's name. He was involuntarily bumped from the flight. The agent offered him a measly $200 travel credit for a 6-hour delay. He almost took it because he was tired and just wanted to go home. Stop. Don't just sign the first paper they hand you. In the United States, Department of Transportation regulations, specifically Title 14 of the Code of Federal Regulations, state that if you're bumped and the delay is over 2 hours, you may be entitled to 400% of your one-way fare, up to $1,550 in cash. Ask the agent specifically for involuntary denied boarding compensation. Benjamin did exactly that. Instead of a voucher with an expiration date, he walked away with a check for $1,200. Reality check. This only applies if you checked in on time and the airline overbooked the flight. It won't work for weather-related delays, but for overbooking, it's a total game changer. Benjamin made his meeting the next day with an extra $1,000 in his pocket. Subscribe to not miss more travel secrets that the airlines don't want you to know. Rule 6 of 12. Here is Rule 6 of 12. You must demand a way out when your plane becomes a prison on wheels. Chloe, a 31-year-old graphic designer, found herself trapped on the tarmac at Milan Malpensa, or MXP, for 3 hours without ever leaving the pavement. The cabin air was stale, the temperature was rising, and the passengers were fuming. One man was yelling at a flight attendant who had zero control over the situation. Chloe felt like a hostage in seat 14B. But here is the fix. For international flights landing at or departing from a U.S. airport, Department of Transportation rules generally limit tarmac delays to 4 hours. For domestic flights, it is 3 hours. After that, the airline generally must give you the option to deplane. Stop. Most people just sit there and suffer in silence. Chloe didn't. She calmly asked the crew about the current tarmac delay status and mentioned the 4-hour threshold. By knowing the specific limit, you shift the power dynamic in the cabin. Often, just mentioning the rule prompts the crew to provide water, snacks, and better communication. Politeness is still your best weapon in these high-stress moments. Chloe's plane eventually moved, but she knew exactly when her misery had to legally end. Next, we look at the customs traps that catch even the most seasoned travelers. Rule 7 of 12. Rule 7 of 12 focuses on your physical survival. Martha, a 63-year-old retired librarian from Seattle, sat pinned in seat 42B at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol, known as AMS. The 30-inch seat pitch meant her knees were jammed against the tray table for the entire 10-hour flight. For travelers over 60, this is more than just discomfort. It is a serious medical hazard. As airline seats shrink to maximize profit, the risk of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, increases significantly during long-haul flights. Martha felt a dull ache in her calves halfway through the flight, but she didn't want to bother her sleeping neighbors. Stop. That is a dangerous mistake. The fix is simple, but absolutely critical for your health. Wear medical-grade compression socks to boost circulation before you even board the plane. Sip at least 8 ounces of bottled water every hour to prevent blood thickening caused by the dry cabin air. Most importantly, perform simple ankle pumps and toe curls every 30 minutes. Reality check. These steps do not eliminate the risk entirely, but they dramatically lower the odds of a life-threatening blood clot. Martha eventually stood up to walk the aisle, saving her health and her vacation. Now, you are safe in your seat. But what happens when you land? The next secret about customs hazards could save you from a massive fine. Rule 8 of 12. For Rule 8 of 12, we address the broken cabin. Have you ever settled into your airplane seat only to find the recline is jammed or the tray table is drooping like a wet noodle? For Daniel, a 37-year-old mechanical engineer from Boston, his flight out of Las Vegas, LAS, started with pure irritation. He sat down in seat 12A and realized the tray table was completely broken. It wouldn't lock upright, which is a major safety violation during takeoff and landing. For a 5-hour trek, that is a total nightmare. Stop. Don't just suffer in silence or try to fix it with duct tape. Daniel hit the call button and calmly showed the flight attendant that the seat was inoperative. If the plane isn't at 100% capacity, they are often required to move you for safety reasons. Because his seat was truly faulty, and the only open spots were in the front of the cabin, Daniel ended up with an extra 5 inches of legroom in premium economy. Reality check. This isn't a guaranteed ticket to first class every time you have a sticky button. If the flight is completely packed, you won't get a new seat. But you can politely ask the attendant to log the issue. This allows you to follow up with the airline later for a travel voucher or frequent flyer miles as compensation for the broken equipment. Rule 9 of 12. Moving to Rule 9 of 12. Did you know that over 250,000 travelers every year face massive fines for something as simple as a snack they forgot was in their bag? Mia, a 22-year-old student, was finishing a dream vacation at Venice Marco Polo Airport, or VCE. She was rushing through the terminal to catch her flight home and forgot about the organic apple tucked into the side pocket of her backpack. When she landed and went through customs, an officer pulled her aside. Mia felt her face flush with shame as other passengers stared while the officer pointed at the fruit. That forgotten apple cost her a $500 on-the-spot fine. Always declare every single food item you are carrying. If you aren't 100% sure if an item is allowed, check the Yes box on the customs form. If you declare it and it's prohibited, they usually just ask you to toss it in a bin with no penalty. Clean your bag thoroughly before landing. Most international airports have clearly marked amnesty bins, where you can drop prohibited items before reaching the inspection point. It takes 10 seconds and can save you hundreds of dollars. While it feels harsh, these rules are strictly enforced to protect local agriculture from invasive pests. Mia paid the fine, but now she checks every single pocket before she lands. One piece of fruit can ruin your entire travel budget. Rule 10 of 12. Here is Rule 10 of 12. Check your pill bottle right now. Henry, a 51-year-old financial advisor from Denver, landed at Madrid Barajas Airport, or MAD, for a connecting flight. He thought he was being organized by dumping all his daily prescriptions into a small plastic weekly dispenser to save space in his carry-on. That was a big mistake. At customs, a sharp-eyed officer pulled him aside for a random bag check. Without the original pharmacy labels, those assorted tablets looked like illegal controlled substances to the officer. Henry felt his heart race as the officer began asking difficult questions. He could not prove what the pills were or that they were legally prescribed to him. In some regions, carrying unidentified pills is a legal nightmare that can lead to detention. Always keep your medication in its original pharmacy packaging with your name and the doctor's name clearly printed on the label. Carry a digital or paper copy of your actual prescription as well. If you absolutely must use a plastic organizer, keep the empty original bottles in your bag as backup proof. It takes up a little more space, but it saves you from hours of intense interrogation. Henry eventually cleared security after a tense 4-hour wait and a call to his doctor back home. Most agents aren't looking to ruin your trip, but they must follow strict protocols regarding drugs. Being prepared removes the suspicion immediately. Rule 11 of 12. Rule 11 of 12 covers the nightmare of the empty carousel. Gabriel, a 29-year-old data scientist, stood at the baggage claim in Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, known as SEA. His eyes were glued to his phone while the carousel circled mockingly empty. He could see his suitcase perfectly. The AirTag showed it was sitting at a terminal in Denver, 1,300 miles away. When he approached the luggage desk, the agent just shrugged. Gabriel pointed at the map on his screen, but the answer was cold. Our system says it is still in transit. This is the frustrating reality of modern travel. Knowing where your bag is doesn't mean the airline will break their protocol to go get it for you. They follow rigid internal manifests, and a consumer AirTag isn't an official part of their tracking system. Instead of arguing about the GPS map, Gabriel shifted his tactics. He filed a formal claim and insisted the agent note the verified GPS location in the official report. This creates a paper trail that is much harder for the airline to ignore. He then asked about the reasonable expenses policy for his overnight stay. Under DOT regulations and the Montreal Convention, carriers are often required to reimburse you for essential items like toiletries and basic clothing if your bag is delayed. Gabriel's bag didn't arrive on the next jet, but he got his essentials covered while he waited. Tracking provides peace of mind, but the airline's heavy machinery moves at its own slow pace. Rule 12 of 12. Finally, we reach Rule 12 of 12. Have you ever found a flight that was significantly cheaper because it had a layover in the city you actually wanted to visit? Elijah, a 39-year-old marketing manager, thought he found a financial gold mine for his trip to Phoenix, PHX. He booked a ticket from New York to San Diego with a scheduled stop in Phoenix for $180 less than the price of a direct flight to Phoenix. Elijah hopped off at Sky Harbor International Airport in Phoenix and simply went home, feeling like a travel genius for beating the system. Stop. He didn't realize the airline was monitoring his account. A month later, his entire loyalty profile was deleted. 150,000 hard-earned frequent flyer miles vanished instantly. This is known as hidden city ticketing, and while it isn't illegal under federal law, it is a major violation of the airline's contract of carriage. Airlines use sophisticated software to flag passengers who regularly skip the final leg of their journey. If you decide to try this, never link your frequent flyer number to the reservation, and never, ever check a bag, as it will continue on to the final destination without you. Elijah learned that saving a few bucks isn't worth being banned for life or losing years of rewards. This is the final piece of the travel puzzle. Now you are equipped with the secrets that keep you ahead of the crowds and under the radar of the airline's traps. Don't be the passenger they take advantage of. Knowledge is your boarding pass to luxury. Subscribe to claim your seat in the circle of savvy travelers.